Welcome back in, everyone, to another edition of the Final Whistle Sports Podcast. It's your hosts, Blaine Spencer and Joe Ciccoletti. We are back for another week. We're excited. NBA Finals in full swing, Stanley Cup Final in full swing, Game 2 underway as we're recording this episode right now. And then we also have it's U.S. Open week, major number 3. Joe loves to beat me in our sports betting picks, so he's going to try and do that again this week, as well as we're going to wrap up, as we talked about last week, with our top 20 wide receivers in the NFL going into the 2024-2025 season. But first off, Joe, how are we doing, my man?
We're here, man. We're here. It's another day, another week, another dollar. It's just how it be. And I'm excited. We're back to another major here in golf, so I'm excited for the weekend to tune in there. And hopefully we get a doozy this week because the course is hard. It's hot down there. And if it's anything like what it was in 2014, it's going to produce some high numbers. And I'm excited, and I'd like to see that in the U.S. major.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially after how the PGA Championship broke the record at being at 21 under par by Xander Schauffele. I think occasionally, especially being on the PGA Tour, like for most golfers, it's not you don't get that true stern test that a golf course provides. And I think a lot of people gave the PGA some backlash because of how arguably easy the course was. Rain definitely played a role in that. Mother
Mhm.
Nature, you can never truly factor in, but still, I agree. I think Pinehurst is going to be brutal, is a great way to put it. So, going to be
Sure.
fascinating to see how that goes. But let's jump in first with some NBA talk. The Boston Celtics hold home court. They didn't have the game 2 choke that were arguing was going to happen. It is 2-zip Boston, and they've kind of ripped this series so far from the Dallas Mavericks. And like we said, we had a couple matchups that we thought were going to be extremely important, and that's exactly been the case. Game 1, Boston absolutely dominant, blew Dallas out of the water, 107-89. Basically, if Jaylen Brown has owned this series so far, averaging about 24 points in the series and being a great perimeter ball defender. Then you also have some crucial components, Drew Holiday and Derek White, two other critical pieces, probably the two most important players in game 2. Drew Holiday, absolutely elite in game 2, shooting lights out, 11 to 14 for 26 points. And pretty much they have decided if we take Kyrie Irving out of this series, we're going to win the championship. And that's exactly what they've done so far. Joe, I know you talked about the bench. It's also been a critical component for the Boston Celtics. What has been your thoughts through 2 games?
Boston's dominating, and they held the home court, and just exactly like what you said, they're just were in dominating fashion and was just able to um, handle the Mavs and what they were supposed to do. I said it earlier that 18 losses in the regular season. You're telling me they're going to have to lose 4 games out of 7? There's no shot. The Boston Celtics are playing out of their mind right now, and they're showing you why they were the best team in the NBA this year and why they're dominating the Dallas Mavs at home. Granted, we're going to see what game 3 looks like. You're going to head down to Texas now. Things might change. Dallas is now they got home court, right? I always say series don't start till road team wins. Now, if the Boston beats them, it's a different story. But to go back to a game 1 and game 2, just good dominating performance by Boston. Jaylen Brown's been playing out of his mind, holding together. Luka's still going to get his. We said that here. Luka was going to get his. Jason Tatum was going to get his. Jaylen Brown was going to get his. We thought Kyrie was going to get his, but Kyrie's kind of been a little underwhelming to say the least. 16 points in game 2. Game 1 only 16 as well. So it's just, or no, I'm sorry, not 16 as well, folks. 16 game 2, and game 1 I don't think was much better. 12 in game 1. So he's been shut down by Jaylen Brown. Um, and also on the same side, we were talking about who's going to be that third option for the Dallas Mavs. And you kept saying PJ Washington, PJ Washington, PJ Washington. Well, PJ Washington had 14 points game 1. Game 2 had 17 points. Not a bad number for a number 3 guy. I don't hate it, but on the flip side, you got to have 5 other guys that scored a rock when Kyrie Irving's only getting you 12 and 16 points. If you want to look at game one, the dominating performance by the Boston Celtics, not only Jaylen Brown scored a rock, Jason Tatum really didn't have a good game. He was just okay. Was that because they were up so much? Probably. But he had 16. Derek White had 15. Kristaps came out. Game one, bang. Comes down, drops a 20 banger right on them. But game two, he was almost like non existent. He wasn't even there. They had 12 points only in game two. Tatum at 18, Jaylen Brown 21, and Drew Holiday was the X factor there in game two. So I say Boston has so many players that can just throw at you day in and day out each game. Drew Holiday, Derek White, Tatum, Brown, Kristaps now, and Horford even a little bit here and there. I just don't think Dallas has enough firepower to keep up with the Boston Celtics. I said that last week, and I'm going to continue to say that until Dallas can beat the Boston Celtics.
And I don't think anything you've said is wrong. I'm not going to jump off the ship yet. I'm very close. I'm definitely walking the plank right now, so to speak. I'm definitely right on there. I think the biggest thing as it pertains to like we've kind of nailed, right? And this was the biggest thing that I thought was going to be the difference of the series. Who was going to win the Kyrie Irving and Jaylen Brown matchup? Jaylen Brown has won both games so far, and that's why they are 2-0. I think Jaylen Brown's been the best player in this series so far. You can Jason Tatum, he hasn't been bad. I think game two he almost had a triple double, but he just wasn't efficient from the scoring perspective, right? Still almost had a triple double. And then, like you mentioned, Luka Doncic has been absolutely spectacular, and they have decided, Luka, as long as you don't get everyone else involved, you are more of a weapon as a passer than you are as a scorer, in our opinion. We're going to allow you to get your 35, 40 points, and we know it's not going to be enough for you to get over the hump.
Mm-hmm.
And you nailed it on the head when we argued about it last week, right? Who's going to be the third guy? From a third scoring perspective, PJ Washington's held his own. However, I was also expecting Kyrie to be in the high 20s, low 30s from a scoring perspective as well.
Yeah.
Right? And like you said, 12 and 16 ain't going to cut it. Like he had 16, and game two was a game Dallas threw away, right? Especially in that second half, in my opinion. Boston Celtics just took it from them in game two after getting smacked around in game one. Dallas had their opportunity to get back into the series. They didn't do it. I'm not throwing it out yet, but winning 4 out of the next 5, extremely difficult if you're a Mavericks fan.
Yeah, and I think the other thing, we'll throw out game one. It is a loss. It got blown out, whatever. We'll put the numbers away. But game two, the biggest X factor for me was a plus minus. And I said it earlier. When Luka's got to go to the bench or Kyrie's got to go to the bench, how's the bench going to be able to hold up? Well, the bench didn't hold up at all. We got Derek Lively minus 15. We got Joe Green minus 10. Hardy minus 6. I mean, only 2 minutes. Never mind. But Lively and Green, big minus 15, minus 10 on the board there. That ain't good looks right now. We're on the flip side with the Boston Celtics, Kristaps plus 12. I can't pronounce his name ever. Pritchard plus 4, and Hauser was plus 1. You got plus, they were plus. But on the other side with Dallas, they were all minus. I think that was going to be the big X factor too, was that bench. When Luka's got to sit, how are they going to be able to handle it? And they weren't. As you can see, that's where the flip side of it happened. You lost by 7. If Lively isn't minus 15, Green's not minus 10, and maybe you cut it to 5 or 3, we could be in a different story. Because Luka was holding his own in the first half, especially that first quarter. Yep. He played out of his mind. I think he had I think it was 12, 15 points in the first quarter, if I'm not mistaken. And he's shooting well. But, also the other problem, too, he was missing a lot of free throws in game two. That was the other big thing, too. I think at one point, they were 2 for 7 from the free throw line, and in the game they finished 67%, which is not good, folks. Not good. But also 3-point percentage for both teams is down 2 in game two with 25% from the Celtics, 23% from the Dallas Mavericks. So they weren't hitting threes. Neither team was. Where I know game one was a little bit different story for the Boston Celtics. They were like hitting everything at that point. So, yeah, I just Dallas has really got to come out. I know they're favored in game three right now, but they're gonna have to come out and win. Like you said, the next 4 out of 5 games, which is gonna be tough. It's gonna be difficult because you're gonna have to go back to Boston at least twice. Um, then in that case, but full prediction, I think it might be a sweep, man.
You think Dallas won't even get a game?
Yeah, I first I thought maybe 6 Boston, like Dallas is gonna look all right. But Dallas just does not look like they can handle it. Like it just looks like to me Boston is the better team. Like
And I
just
think and I think from on paper, right? Everyone assumed Boston was the better team on paper. I think if Boston was going to lose, it was going to be more Boston beating themselves, not Dallas going in there and taking it from Boston, right? It
mhm.
was going to probably be Boston making those silly mistakes that they made a couple of years ago in that Warriors series where they started to give the Warriors openings to pretty much win that title. And I think you've seen that level of maturity, right, from the Celtics. I think they have understood that they've heard all the scrutiny, that they thought this was going to be their toughest test, and they haven't allowed that cakewalk game to happen, right? Game two has always been in for their postseason this far, right? They've gentlemen swept or swept everyone, right? Which is which is a great result. However, they've laid an egg in game two every time. They ended up getting away with it in the Indiana series. However, they've laid an egg in that Cleveland series as well in the Miami series. And that didn't, I think they took that personally in these first 2 games, understanding we cannot give Dallas a window of opportunity. You got to kind of take it by the throat being the home team.
Yeah, I just like don't see a world right now where even if one, if not maybe even 2 guys go cold. Now, granted, if it's Brown and Tatum go cold, then Dallas should win the game
They
easily.
should blow them out. Yeah.
But if it's like a Brown has an off game and maybe a Drew Holiday has an off game, I still think they have enough firepower to compete and potentially still win that game with Dallas. I think they're getting to that point right now. But I want to ask you this. Brown's been kind of leading the way for Boston, right? If it continues, he's going to get most likely finals MVP, I would assume, right?
I think he's the front runner right now.
If this continues, and we're going to go back to my question last week, is Tatum the top 5 player in the NBA?
I
Because you
think we
told me yes if he wins.
I know. But I also I made the assumption that Jason Tatum was going to be the best player on the court. And I think this is where it opens that argument, right? Where the media kind of put wedge between those two because they're kind of 1A and 1B, right? I know people give Jason Tatum way more of the credit than Jaylen Brown gets. However, this postseason has kind of been Jaylen Brown's coming out party, not getting all those accolades, right? No All NBA team,
Yep,
being that person that got left off. Did he make the Olympic roster? I can't remember.
I don't think so. No.
I think if he's left off the Olympic roster as well, another crucial component. Like, I think he's playing with a huge chip on his shoulder right now. So that he wants to showcase his ability. And yeah, he is the person that got left off. So yeah, he is not on the Olympic roster. I think I think he's playing with like, yo, this ain't just Jason's team. You can make the argument it's also my team. If it's not, so I don't think he's a top 5 player. Jaylen Brown continues to ascend the way he's played.
Wow. So this playoffs is changing your mind. Wow. All right.
I don't say that. I still think he's on the cusp, right? But like I also made this, and this could all still change, right? But if Jaylen Brown's the best player on the court, it definitely is a little bit more eye opening from a top five player perspective. Like if you're a top five player in the finals, you're supposed to be the best player on the court for your team. This happened like in that 20 in this. I go back to Warriors stuff because I'm a diehard Warriors fan, right? When Iguodala won the MVP, right? Everyone was ripping Steph Curry. There is no way he's a top five player. He couldn't even win Finals MVP on the team on his championship team. So I think it's a valid argument, right? It's there. You can still be deemed as one of the best players in basketball. Like Steph Curry was in that moment was still the best shooter in basketball. Doesn't mean he's a top five player in that moment, right? So there's definitely the nuances of how thin the margins really are in that top five discussion.
Yeah, I mean, I think Finals MVP is kind of just a blown out award sometimes. Like you're just basing on
It's
one
fair.
series, right? Um, like if I went through the amount of NBA Finals MVPs through the list, yes, of course you're going to get, your Larry Birds, Magic Johnsons, LeBron Jameses, Michael Jordans, etc. Right? But like, there's going to be some anomaly players in there that you're like, I don't know if you should have won.
Yeah, that's fair.
Right? Like looking back, like Andre Iguodala, I'm pretty sure there was somebody from the Spurs that like won it that like shouldn't have won it when they were winning. Um,
Before Kawhi won it,
Yeah, before quite like the Duncan era.
I think it was
But
Parker a couple times.
yeah, Bruce
I can't
Bowen's coming
remember.
to my mind, and I
Oh,
don't
he
know if he
might have
won
been. He
it,
might have been one of them. Yeah, it's a
but
good.
like he's one of them. I'm like, you didn't really want it when you had two other dogs, if not three other dogs on the
Yeah,
team. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, to get back to it, I I think I'm going to ride with my statement, and it is what it is. I think Boston's going to sweep them. I think it's going to be done on whatever night it is, Thursday or Friday night. I guess would be Game 4,
yep. Friday
and
night.
Boston's once again their city's going to have another championship coming down the mainland. So you want to talk about a city that in my lifetime has had a lot of championships. That is one of
Predicate
them.
winning. Predicate winning is Boston.
However, I'm just gonna say the last time the Celtics won the NBA championship, the Phillies won the World Series. So I'm just gonna put that
Here
on.
we go. Already jumping to your team on the other side. Honestly, how funny was that double play that you guys lost on a swing?
Ah, I don't even want to
Pretty
talk
funny.
about
That was
it.
so
It is what
funny.
it
I
is.
was laughing so hard.
It's game like 68, 69. Like relax.
But yet it's game 68, 69. Yet he's over here. Boston wins it. The last time was the Phillies.
Oh, you're looking at it under a microscope. You gotta look at the big picture here, You gotta look at the big picture.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, let's shift some gears. We talked some NBA finals. Let's talk the US Open that will be taking place at Pinehurst #2. Like we've kind of mentioned earlier, it's going to be a extremely tough golf course. The last time it was hosted at Pinehurst was in 2014, where Martin Keimer ran away with the victory, winning at 10 under par, where people were kind of stunned in that regard because he played some lights out golf, especially those first 2 days. I think he went 65, 65, if I'm not mistaken. And he won pretty much in a cruise, winning by 8 strokes. Only 3 players finished under par, and Keimer was basically an an abnormality in comparison to everyone else's scorecards, with Ricky Fowler finishing as the runner-up at 1 under par with Eric Compton. Joe, who, what do you need to see? All right, let me switch this up, actually. There were 3 people under par. Will there be more or less people under par this year when the 72 holes are over?
I believe there'll be more. Not many more, but there'll be more. I think the winning number is going to be probably around anywhere from 5 to 8. I still think that's a good number
Okay.
to get, especially here. However, I think you're definitely going to see a lot more of like in that range. I wouldn't be surprised if the projected cuts like +4, +6, somewhere in that ballpark, come Friday afternoon, and then go from there. But yeah, the course is going to be difficult. I mean, to say the least, it's 7,500 yards. It's almost as long as Valhalla. And Valhalla, we were like, oh, the yardage is going to catch up to these guys, and these guys blew it out the water. It was -21. However, this is a completely different course, folks. I'm just going to tell you that now. The landing areas are tighter than ever. You only have 20 yards, 25 yards into the 300-yard landing areas most times than not. There's not really rough on this course. It's wicked grass. So when it gets into these waste areas, you may catch a good lie in the sandy area, or you might catch shit in this wicked grass that like pops up like crabgrass. So you might get screwed there. But also in the same sense, when you hit it up on the green, they're like a turtleback. So when it comes off the side, typically roughs there as well to hold the ball back. So not only the ball it goes off like a yard or so, and you can chip it up and on. It's not the case here, folks, at Pinehurst number 2. It is fairway. It's going to be tight lies that they're going to have to try to hit off of, and they're going to have to hit up as well. So a lot of more like bump and run and chipping into the grain and hoping that the ball holds and catch maybe one bounce up and then tumble its way up and over. It's not going to be like a lot of lob wedges and throwing up as high as you can and hoping the ball stops. It's just not going to be able to happen. That's not going to work here. Um, so you're going to see a lot more of that. And I think it's going to be a little more difficult and kind of gives you a little bit more of like the Augusta feel and like the Augusta feel a little bit, and also like the open feel, right? Like you have to play the ball a little bit more on the ground near the greens, a little bit more. So it's going to be an interesting course to see. It's a little bit different than what we've kind of seen, especially this year. So
Well, that's because, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't they go back to the old waste area style? Wasn't it traditional rough for a couple of years? The 99 and '05 ones. I think it was still traditional US Open setup, deep rough, and then they went back to what the course was originally designed as in 2014, if I remember correctly, back to the waste area. I
I
can't remember
don't
off the
remember
top of my
that. I don't
head.
call that, but I know 2014 and it was what it is now. I do know
Right.
that. So,
I know they had
but
done work on it. I
yeah,
can't
I'm
remember
not
off the top of my
entirely
head.
sure. Um,
Restoration. Let's see. Uh,
I also still
so
find
yeah,
it funny.
it was renovated in 2011.
Okay,
So
okay.
they did change it in 2011.
I just quick thing here, right? So the top 9 of the 2014 U.S. Open, I would say three, four, 4 or 5 of the 9 guys still play today and are still in contention most times than not in majors or make cuts. That being Ricky Fowler, Keegan Bradley, Jason Day, Dustin Johnson, Brooks Koepka, and Adam Scott. So to think 10 years now of their career, they're coming back now once again to play this course. I just think it's kind of interesting. So I
It
wonder
is.
if you get a little redemption from them, you know, Brooks being so young and now he's in his what 30, 32, 33, like, him to turn around. Dustin's on his, he's on the downward slide now, but still Jason Day's playing really good ball. Keegan Bradley turned his career around. Ricky Fowler's up and down. Adam Scott's just he's consistent. What do you want me to say? So kind of interesting to see when you look at the other names here and the other guys on the list. Like, you got names like Keimer, that's fine, but you got Brant Snedeker, Jimmy Walker, Jim Furyk, like guys like that were probably on the way down at the time, but now looking at the leaderboard, you got 5 or 6 guys that were already there that made the top 10 already. So
Oh, I agree with that for sure. I think I think one name that everyone's going to kind of keep an eye on is Dustin Johnson this week, especially after how poorly he's been performing, right? In the last two majors, has made the cut, but he really hasn't been competitive. And I think everyone assumes his length is going to be extremely crucial this week. I think a lot of people think the further you can get it down there, the shorter of a club you've got going into these holes are going to play, might just help you a little bit to stop the ball a little bit more, right? So,
I actually disagree. I really think the distance off the tee is really going to help you as much as it did in the other two or three championship or the other two or
okay.
three majors we've had. I actually think approach and limiting your amount of bogeys you have is going to like propel you to
Par's
win
going to
rate.
be a great score this week.
Correct. Correct. Like I don't think like Rory McIlroy's length is going to put him into different areas. Honestly, I would think of being slightly more accurate off the tee and hitting in the right spots. Now, that might not even be the fairway. Like that might be in the right side of the fairway or like in the waist area, but just catching a good lie in the waist area because then you have a good attack angle into these greens. Um, and I think the biggest thing for me is the like approach into the green. For me is like the biggest thing. I think you're really gonna have to be dialed in your irons and your wedges. The putting's just gonna be fast. Like it is what it is. You know what you're gonna have to do, but I think you need to be like severely dialed in with your irons and your wedges right now, and being able to chip off these tight lies. Um, and I think that's the way it's gonna be. I don't think the length off the tee is gonna help as it did in other majors.
Ball striker week, ball striking week for sure. I agree with
Yeah,
that. All right,
yeah,
shall we make our picks?
yeah.
All right, everyone, y'all know the drill. It's we get two Americans, we get two international, and we get one long shot. How it's going to work, we're going to do it similar how we did it to the PGA. Scotty Scheffler and Rory McIlroy are off the board. They will not be allowed to be picked just because Scotty Scheffler is just owning the golf world right now. So with how he's playing, he's on a whole different level. So we're kind of using him as like a asterisk. So we're going to take him out. And then as well, we're just taking Rory out as well to kind of even it out. All right, Joe, I'll give you the first pick. Who you going with?
All right. So first pick. So Scotty and Rory are out. Um, give me the man that has been hot the last couple weeks now. Finished second last week. Colin Morikawa is playing really good ball right now. He's ball striking well. The last 2 weeks he's been playing well. Did well at Valhalla as well. Kind of think this is set up for him to play decent. I think the irons are finally back. Putting was well this week. And he's going to keep you in play in terms of the driving with accuracy. So I like Morikawa this week.
Do you think he will actually finally get over the final day blunder? He's now kind of thrown it away the last two
I don't
times in
think
the
he
last
threw it
three.
away last week.
I don't think he threw it away at Valhalla, but at the Masters, I feel like he threw himself out of contention. And then at
Sure.
Valhalla, he was the only one who didn't make a birdie all day, basically.
Yeah. It's the same thing like what Xander has been for the last 3 years now, right? Like the
Sure.
man hasn't won a major, it's coming second, but then boom, he comes out of nowhere. Morikawa's at least a major winner. All right. Like hold your roll there. But to say he lost it, I think he was in a funk right now, but it's not like he's playing bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's come alive the last month and a half now, in terms of his finishing status. So, do I think he gets over the hump? I don't know. I still think Scotty's the clear cut number one, but let's be honest, nobody has ever won the tournament before and then also won the U.S. Open the next week. Like,
Right.
so going up against history, but Scotty's also on another level, like going on the
Right.
Tiger realm of level right now. So
Yeah, for
I
sure.
don't know.
Fair enough.
So,
All right. I'm going to take another American who has been playing great golf in the majors. Another great ball striker, but this man can also hit the ball a mile. I'm going to take Bryson DeChambeau as my American there. Man has
yeah,
been I think him losing at Valhalla, it said it motivated him a little bit more because he had outside of the Mastered, he had a little bit more of a taste of it at the end there. Um, and right now he's out there doing videos with kids clubs and still playing better golf than us, so it's kind of hilarious. It makes me feel like I'm absolutely very bad at this game when I already am. But Bryson's going to be my other pick for my first pick. And then are we snaking it again? So I go again.
Yeah. Yep.
I am gonna go. I'm gonna go with another solid ball striker here. Kind of a little bit of a surprise. Um, I'm gonna take Tom Kim as my first international pick. Really like his game. He's definitely kind of trending in the right direction. And that, again, like we've kind of talked about, ball striking is a premium. And when he gets going with his irons, he's one of the best in the world.
Mm-hmm.
To you, sir.
All right. Good pick because honestly, to me, the American wise, I think it's only down to three guys. I think it's Scotty, Markel, and Bryson. That's just who I think it is. I think after that, it's a wasteland a little bit. But internationally, I think there's a lot of folks that could have good weeks here. First one I'm going to take is Matthew Fitzmagic. Um, I think Fitzpatrick's going to figure it out this week. This course is very strategic in the play, and Matt Fitzpatrick is probably the most strategic guy out there. With that being said, he's been playing well the last couple of weeks now, turning around to get a top five finish or top eight finish this past week. He's starting to his irons are starting to work well again. His driver's starting to get a little more accurate, and his putting's kind of moving along as well. So give me Matt Fitzpatrick, the Englishman. And second, oh man, I got like three guys I like. All right, I'll give you the layup then. Give me Sung J M this week. I like Sung J M. Approach has been incredible for him the last couple of weeks. I gotta look up his finishes recently. They've been doing he's been doing pretty well with finishes. Yeah, he finished T8 this past week at Muirfield with the final round of -1. And I'm pretty sure just like his latest rounds, he's just been playing really good stuff lately. Uh, Trying to find here, folks. Sorry about that. Yeah, like he just had a good round of Muirfield. Like round three, he shot -5. Like, it's a really good day for him. The only problem is in the PGA Championship, he missed the cut, just hasn't been there. But anything outside the majors, he's actually playing really well. So
Mhm.
hopefully he turns it around this week, and I'm just gonna go with Sung J M.
Okay. Don't hate it at all. Don't hate it at all.
I gave you a layup though on this one, I think. But go ahead.
I'm not taking it.
No? All right.
Not taking him.
All right.
I'm gonna go with my next pick. I'm gonna go a little bit here on a bit of a flyer, but I really just like personally love this guy's game right now. That is Minwoo Lee. I'm gonna I saw that reaction there with that little facial expression there, bud. Yes, it is a bit of a personal pick for me. Another solid ball striker. However, for him, it's how long will he keep the driver in play? When he gets into contention, that club is usually the one that fails him. If he can keep it in play, he's got a very good short game. I think that's going to save him a lot this week. But again, it's going to come off of the tee for Minwood Lee. He is my other international person. Then my final American is going to be. Where I want to go with this. I'm going to go with Keegan Bradley this week. Keegan Bradley is my second American. I think he is also a golfer that's been not just trending in the right direction this year, but also last year. I think he's playing with a huge chip on his shoulder as it pertains to being left off of the Ryder Cup team. And I think he knows that if he can get one more somehow major in there, it kind of solidifies his career significantly. and Keegan Bradley's kind of turned it around. So going with him as my other American.
All right.
All right.
Um,
All right, go ahead. You got your American and you've got your long shot now.
yeah, like I said, like I'm just not a big fan of like any other Americans here, but guy, and it's gonna go against for what I've been saying that you need an approach guy that a great ball striker, but he's actually been kind of turning around the last couple of weeks. Americans, I'm gonna go with Sam Burns this week.
Rolling with Sammy Burns again.
Yeah, no. I
Didn't you
was
take it? I thought you took him at Valhalla, didn't you?
no, no. That's a no. That's yeah, Sam Burns. He's kind of turned it around the last couple of weeks now. Muirfield finished as a 15 spot there in the RBC Open as well. He had a good round there as well. Actually, shot 7 under in round one. So he's been turning around a little bit. So I got some potential for Mr. Burns this week. Have good old Piners. All right, long shot. Guy's been playing well, man. And he's 90 to 1. So it meets the criteria because the criteria we're going to do is what, 60 to 1 or greater or 71 and greater?
Yeah, about 50 to 60 to 1. Yeah.
All right. Sep Straka. Let me say. Guys like every week he's like on the leaderboard. Doesn't win. Never wins. Don't expect him to win. But like as a long shot for 90 to 1, yeah, give it to me. I'll
No,
take
it's a
him.
good one. I like that. I like that. For me, oh, where is he at on this board?
125 to 1. Mr.
You
Eldrick
know what?
Will.
I'm actually gonna roll with someone.
Here's a
Is
guy.
is Adam Scott on the 50 to 60 to 1 list on yours? Looks like he is on mine, but I can't. I don't
God,
want to.
I actually don't know if he's in it.
Is he still in the first alternate?
I don't have him on it right now.
All right, leave him off then. Um, all right, I'm gonna then go with.
Eldrick Woods.
I'm gonna go Cam Davis. Cam
All right.
Davis as my long shot. Ended up beating Adam Scott in the playoff on the longest day.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
like I said, another very good ball striker. However, not one of the greatest, greatest around the green. So I think that might be his caveat this week. But if his ball striking gets dialed in, he can light up a golf course in a hurry. So he will be my
Um,
shot.
I don't know if you looked, but if you did, that's fine. But if not, who do you think has the worst odds to win the U.S. Open right now?
The worst?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Is it someone I know?
Yes.
Is it Tiger?
No.
No. Um, oh God, I have no idea. Who is it?
Let's just say this. I'll give you a hint. We have said his name in this podcast.
No way.
Yes.
God, I have it's gonna bother me now. Now I need to like figure out who's in the field. Is it Molinari?
No. You want me to tell you?
Yeah, I guess so.
750 to 1 odds. 2014 U.S. Open winner Martin Keimer.
No way he's the worst.
It's what I have on my list right now.
Hammer him. Hammer Martin, baby. He's going back to back.
I'll tell you what,
Honestly, he played great. He played great last week. He was kind of dialed in on live.
I'll hammer him to make the cut.
Oh, yeah. I think he makes the cut. He's the only one that actually unlocked Pinehurst last time.
I mean, it's not a bad bet to make the cut. Like
Hey,
there's a lot of people that are way
I
worse.
wonder what his odds are for his round. Because honestly, he didn't shoot a round worse than 1 over 10 years ago. So you maybe take a flyer, say he shoots at 2 over, 2 over or better. That's not a bad bet right there. As someone who absolutely owned the course last time.
We'll see. We'll see. So
Interesting. All right, everyone. So this is who we picked. Joe went Colin Morikawa, Matthew Fitzpatrick, Sungjae Im, Sam Burns, and Sepp Straka. I went Bryson DeChambeau, Tom Kim, Minwoo Lee, Keegan Bradley, and Cam Davis. You said you had two more. Who were the other two that you really liked this week?
for international,
Yeah.
Oberg I thought was a layup for you.
Yeah, Oberg was the one that I was really thinking about taking from a
And
ball
and
striking perspective. I think his knee, I'm not convinced that he's fully healed yet, though, from his knee.
um and Hatton. Hatton's a
Hatton's a
great ball striker.
great ball striker. His emotional takeover from that golf course, though. The golf course will take him over by the back nine.
Yeah, like yeah, I'm interested to see. So those are my two. Like I have a lot more international players that I think are gonna play well. Where like Americans, I'm just stuck on three guys and that's just it. So
No, I think this is an opportunity for an international champion this week for sure.
yep, agreed. Is it time for a live champion?
Oh, I mean, if it's not Bryson, I don't see anyone really else who could pull it off this week.
Brooks is still there, man. I'm sorry. That man's in the field.
I know he's still there, but man hasn't really been playing well outside of when he's on live. His majors have been kind of subpar this year for him. At his
Yeah, but that
standards, they've been extremely subpar.
but he can turn it around in an instant.
That's
Bang,
fair.
just like that.
It's true.
So
It's true. It's true. It's true.
um before we get into the NFL talk, real quick, you did bring him up earlier about the Phillies. What did you think of the London series?
I think it's a great premise. I think they don't play a long enough of a series for it to actually get the juice that it needs for it to actually move forward.
I completely agree. I think you have to have like if you're gonna leave like a team, like either do something where you have like a team out there for like a week straight or 2 weeks straight, and like
And
just
host a
cycle,
full homestand there.
yeah, like cycle some different teams in, like maybe bring out four teams and they all play each other or something like that out there. Field wise, terrible field wise. Ball
Oh,
was bouncing,
atrocious.
bouncing everywhere. You couldn't see the ball. Like so many missed fly balls, but also like missed timing balls, like terrible field wise. So,
Bad. You're
um,
right. It was bad out there for sure.
yeah, not good stuff. But like I said, like you said, kind of the premise is kind of cool, but like just not long enough. So, just want to
Yeah.
get your thoughts on that. So,
Yeah, no, I think I don't mind that four teams come out, right? And you kind of just rotate through who gets two between between them, right? And so you get 2 3 game series out of it, right?
yeah,
So I think that's what the premise needs to be. Because I think you're not if you're just going for 2 games, you're not promoting it enough. People are just gonna go see it and then it's completely washed over at that point. I think that or you need to do multiple trips, like how the football does it.
yeah. The other problem with multiple trips is like it's gonna take a toll on these guys a little bit more and more. So
Right.
like I kind of don't hate on like for instance if you have like a Phillies Braves go out versus I don't know a Yankees in Boston, right? Like all four of the teams go out. Boston and Phillies play their series. Yankees Braves play their series. Then Yankees flip flop and Yankees play the Phillies and Boston would play then the Braves, like the other three, like something like that. I think should be
Yeah.
done um, to keep it going. At least so then you have multiple games out there to watch. Um, but I do agree that it needs to be longer and more teams need to be out there. So
And I think this is the one thing that the NFL gets wrong is that you have to get the correct brand of team out there. Like, right, you listed 4 teams that are main brand teams in baseball, right? However, in the NFL, the Jaguars host arguably a quarter of their season in London at
Yeah,
this point, right? I think branding also matters with who you're going to put out there for these games. Like
great.
that Chiefs Dolphins series in Germany, I think it was a better turnout than all of the other international games because you had a quality brand in the Kansas City Chiefs there.
Correct. Correct. I
So
agree. I agree.
I think you also have to factor it in from a marketing perspective as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, completely agree. Completely agree.
Yeah. That is a
All right.
perfect segue though into our NFL talk. We're gonna wrap up tonight, ladies and gents, with our top 20 wide receivers. This time we're gonna get the choices of five right instead of me screwing it up like last week where we went from 15 to 9 and then like 9 to 4 and then 4 to 1. This time we're gonna go in stacks of five. I will get it right this time. This is all both Joe and I's personal picks. It's not based off of how it's evaluated on every different spectrum. This is just how we articulate our personal top 20 receivers in the NFL. All right. 20 to 16. I'll go first. You ready, Joe?
Sure.
Number 20, Scary Terry. Got to get my Washington in there. Love that man. Got to get him at number 20. Number 19, Devontae Smith from the Philadelphia Eagles. Number 18, Marvin Harrison Jr. from the Arizona Cardinals, the rookie phenom. I think he's going to be a great, and I think he's a top 20 receiver right now. 17, I'm going to put Debo in for San Francisco. And number 16 is DJ Moore from the Chicago Bears. Do you have any of the people I've selected in your top 20?
Uh, well, I don't know. Maybe, but uh, I know you have three or four players that I don't have in the top 20. I do know that.
Oh, great.
So,
That's not a great
um,
sign.
so number 20, I have Debo Samuel.
Okay.
Number 19, I'm just not big on this guy, folks. I know people have him higher. I just don't like him. Stephon Diggs is number 19.
I knew he was going to be so high on your board.
I don't like Diggs at all. I'm sorry, folks. I just think he's just a glorified route runner. That's just what it is. 18 is Brandon Ayuk. 17 is Michael Pittman. And 16 is DK Metcalf. That's who I have as my 20 through 60.
Wow, our list is going to be, I think, pretty different.
Yeah, it is. I as soon as you started out, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be good. Definitely.
Holy sh!
The only one we have is Samuel in that area realm. Um, you had DJ Moore, you had Scary Terry. I had DJ Moore as 23, actually. I
Okay,
don't even have Scary Terry in my top 25. And you had somebody else in there too. Who am I missing?
Devontae Smith.
Yes, he's like that 25. There's like a 25, 27 where I have like Waddle and Smith probably in there. But
Okay,
yeah, I'm not sold on like them as wide receiver twos. That's my problem. So,
fair enough. All right,
so
15 to 11. You go first this time.
all right, number 15, Keenan Allen. 14, Marvin Harrison Jr. 13, Christopher Olave. 12, Amari Cooper. 11, D Hop.
Okay. Damn, our list is going to be so different. This is nuts. 15, Cooper Cup. 14, Keenan Allen. 13, DeAndre Hopkins. 12, Stephon Diggs. Number 11, Mike Evans.
Hmm. Okay. So by you telling
I love me some Mike Evans.
got no they got no hate. My thing is that's telling me you got Amari Cooper off this list.
You're absolutely correct. Amari Cooper is not in the top
Wow.
20.
I completely
I
disagree on that.
that's fair, but I am not sold on Amari Cooper. He had He did have a good year last year, and he had one spectacular game with Joey Flacco throwing in the ball left and right, where he had like 270 yards receiving. In my opinion, I like these guys from a complete wide receiver standpoint more than I do than Amari Cooper.
A complete wide receiver. He is a complete wide receiver.
I
He can
said
beat you deep.
more. I said more. I like them more. This is
Yeah,
my list, Joseph.
he had 1,200 yards last season. Like, what else do you want the guy to do?
Do I have a
And
little bit of a cowboy hate on this list? You're goddamn right I do, but
I
that's
guess you
fine.
do. Like, I don't know. To me, like, I just think Amari Cooper is his hands are phenomenal. He's a great route runner. He's got in shitty situation with the Browns. So like, I'm huge on him. Like, I think
Yeah.
Amari Cooper is
So you
like it's.
value his yards a lot more than because of where he's playing.
I value a lot of stuff out of him. Not only his yards, I value like his technique, his route running, his ability to beat you deep, his hands, and much more. Like him to me is like DeAndre Hopkins is like that man can play with any quarterback you want, and he's going to be able to score, catch the ball, get yards. Amari Cooper is like the guy under him for me. That's how I consider Amari Cooper.
Okay. I, that's
Like there's
interesting.
wide receivers like to me that like they can go
That
on
regard
any single team.
they're gonna get his no matter what.
Don't matter to me. I don't care. They'll figure it out. Like D
Okay.
Hop, there's another guy too that I missed that's also higher up on the list. That's like in the D Hop realm, and then
Yeah.
Cooper's like the one below that.
Okay.
So, all
All
right.
right.
So you got 10 through 6.
Yep. Garrett
You
Wilson 10,
okay?
DK at 9, Brandon Ayuk at 8,
Wow,
CD Lamb at 7, Amon-Ra St. Brown at 6.
wow. You have IU high. Woo.
I do have Ayuk super high. Once you said him at 18, I was like, damn, maybe I have a little bit more love than too much love for Brandon Ayuk.
And it might be different. Like you might have more of the West Coast feel.
I do have a West Coast feel. I I like a lot of these people that are going to be at the top, just absolute demons at route running. Demons, in my opinion.
All right. All right. Number 10, I have Cooper Cup.
Okay.
Number 9, Mr. 1,000 Yard, Mike Evans. 8, Garrett Wilson. 7, Amon St. Brown. 6, Devontae Adams.
Okay. I'm assuming Devontae is the one that is also in that Hopkins realm in that
Correct.
conversation. He was
And
the first
just
he was the first person that came to mind when you brought that up.
and now, like to me, like 2 years ago, Adams would have not like Adams to me 2 years ago is a number two, like top two wide receiver in the league. But he had Aaron Rodgers. He obviously drops down, but like again, if you need a guy that's just gonna go fit in any team, he's proven to me now that he can play with any quarterback. So
Yeah, for sure. I get that. Don't hate that part of your list at all.
wow, shock with IU. That's high. Wow.
Yeah. Why do you I have Cooper at 15 Cooper Cup at 15. Why do you have him higher on your board?
I just think he's an exceptional route runner, great hands, and it's just like literally the number one guy for Matthew Stafford, even though Puka Nacua was the guy last year, but I think Puka got
Sure.
his while Cup was out. I think
Yeah.
Cup is still you can't what's he 1 year off of the 2,000 yard season? Is that what it is now, or is it 2 years off now? I don't know. Either way, like
Something like that, 2 or 3.
you still gotta put some respect to the man's name. I mean,
For sure.
Christ, it's top 10. He's got to still be a top 10 guy for me. So.
All right. Give me your top 5. Or do you want to go back and forth like we did last time? We can go back and forth.
Number 5, Jamar Chase.
I also have number 5 as Jamar Chase.
Okay. Number 4, Mr. AJ Brown.
Concur with that. AJ Brown is my number 4.
This is where we're gonna get different because you have him at number 7. So CD Lamb number 3.
Devontae Adams at number 3.
Number 2, Jay Jet.
Wait, what?
JJ,
Say
number two.
say that again. Number two is who?
Justin Jefferson.
I'm wow, okay. I you just flip-flopped him, but I have number two, Tyreek Hill.
Number one, Tyreek Hill.
Number one, Justin Jefferson. Why now I just gotta ask, why Tyreek over Jettis?
Tyreek Hill is the complete game changer X factor at wide receiver, purely based on his speed. He takes it to another
Over.
level. Like, don't get me wrong, Justin Jefferson, phenomenal route runner, can get open over the middle, can beat you deep as well, is able to create separation against other wide receivers. To me, though, he falls in the realm of that CeeDee Lamb and Jamar Chase, right? Where they can beat you on their routes. They have slightly better speed than the cornerback, and great hands. Tyreek Hill, even though his route running might not be as good as Justin Jefferson, his hands might not be as good as Justin Jefferson, but I think his speed is such an X factor, and it can bring you over the top. That's what makes him the number one wide receiver in the league. Truthfully, not for me.
No, I think that's fair. I think it's a valid argument. For me, you kind of nailed everything that I love about Justin Jefferson, and I think for him, that puts him over the top with Tyreek, contested catches. His ability
Sure,
to go over the top of someone, right?
sure.
And make that play. Doesn't mean Tyreek can't do it, right? But I think from that perspective, he doesn't really have to deal with that as much because Miami definitely suits him with how they try to get him the ball in space and they just let him go to work, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Completely different transition of how the two wide receivers operate in their offenses too.
Correct. Now, I think Justin Jefferson has a huge year to really solidify potentially as a wide receiver one completely, like being the number one wide receiver in the NFL.
Sure.
Because you have potentially Sam Darnold or JJ McCarthy as your quarterback. So
Yep.
now you're getting into that realm now with the DeAndre Hopkins, Devontae Adams, and Amari Cooper for me. Like now you had Kirk Cousins, who is a top 15, top 20 guy,
Sure.
right? But a very accurate ball placement guy. Now you're gonna have more of an inaccurate, more ball placement guy. So can you still produce? Maybe you're not getting that damn near 2,000-yard guy, but like, can you still get 16, 1,700 yards potentially and 10 plus touchdowns? So, so we'll see. I don't know.
No, I think it's gonna be fascinating. I think I do like how we did this one, right? A lot more parity in our list this time than like I think top our top 12, we all have the same roughly in our 20, probably 12 out of the 20 receivers, maybe even a little bit more than that. List from how we ranked them completely different, which is kind of nice to see, right? And we kind of talked about it off air last week, is that the receivers, you could make an you could change so much of this list and make a value argument for all of the guys. Like you said, you
Absolutely.
had 25 guys, right? You could probably even push that up to 30 where they can make an argument to be in this list.
Yeah, like you got guys like you said, Devontae Smith that I didn't have, Jalen Waddle that I don't have. You got Puka Nakua had a really, really great rookie year, but like I don't know if I can buy into it yet, right? Nico Collins, same thing, had a really good sophomore year, like really played well, but like, is it going to continue? DJ Moore for me, which I know you had him on there, like a really good. I don't know, is he wide receiver one, wide receiver two between Keenan Allen and him, and then I also had Drake London inside the top 25. So like yeah, you got guys, same name as Scary Terry, like, okay, top 25, Malik Neighbors now coming in, right? He
Yeah.
comes in as well. Um, guys like that, like, could they slide up even the top 20 after 4 weeks of the NFL? Absolutely, they could in this right now. Samuels could fall off, Diggs could fall off for all I know. But, it's a good list, good discussion to have. I think for me, the shocker was Ayuk. I was just shocked how high you have
Yeah.
Ayuk. So
I think it's valid. I think that's valid. I think it's a valid thing. If let's just say Out of the people, who is a sleeper wide receiver that you think is going to have a monster year that you think outside of your top 20?
Oh, Drake London.
Outside Drake London, you think he's going to have a huge year with Kirk?
Yeah, yeah. You have like a competent quarterback that can throw him the
Yeah.
ball. Like he had 1,000 yards last year. Like I think if he can follow slightly what Justin Jefferson was, he potentially could be a 1,600 yard guy.
No, I like that one a lot.
What about
I've
yourself?
got, I think if T. Higgins has the mindset this year, I think he knows he's out of Cincinnati this year and he's playing for a big payday. Wouldn't surprise me one bit if T. Higgins showcases what he was a couple of years ago when they went to the Super Bowl.
Sure. I like it. Another one real quick that I just thought of, Marquise Brown. I think Marquise Brown could have a really, really good year with Kansas City now.
Yeah, you're gonna put him in position for success.
Correct. Like that's the big thing, right? If you have a quarterback that is actually able to throw you the ball, you always got a chance to put
Goes
up big
leaps and
numbers.
bounds. Yeah, leaps and
It
bounds.
can hide your talent slightly. So it's good.
Another
Um,
one, Jackson Smith and Jigba in Seattle.
Depends on Lockett though.
I That's fair. That's fair. Lockett has been injury prone a little bit though these last couple of years
It really comes down to depends on Lockett there, unfortunately.
because they have so much depth in Seattle. It's nuts.
Yeah. Yep. All
What do we
right,
want to do
next.
next? What's our next list? We do
I don't
running
know.
back?
Running back or
Back?
tight end, I guess, but running back, I guess, would be fair.
Running back or a tight end? All right, we'll figure it out.
Running back works.
I don't
Okay.
know if I can. I don't. We definitely can't get to 20 though. I don't think.
We'll see. I could do 15, if
Yeah.
not potentially 20. We'll take a look. So
All right. Sounds good.
yeah, we'll get into there. We'll get into there. So next week we'll definitely do that. Hopefully wrapping up the NBA Finals talk with the Boston Celtics with the sweep. Talking US Open, the champion there. We're getting closer because we're in mandatory training camp right now for the NFL. So we're getting a lot closer to the NFL. And college football is going to be coming back soon. Great new college football game coming out soon. So getting excited there as well. So make sure you guys tune back in next week. We'll be here. Let us know if you want us to talk about anything. Always hit us up on social media. Give us a follow, subscribe, and like. And as always, folks, have a good one, all right? Take it easy.